It's just the right sort of day to find yourself in Chester in the Rose. At the pin-bright, magnolia-lit end of March. The real New Year, the Cummingsian New Year. On the cusp of everything, like James Joyce in a portrait of the artist as a young man.
I don't know what it is, but the view and the day is making me feel like I'm in a Scottish indie band.
Which is Mary Jane.
Yeah, a bit more early 80s, a bit more postcard records, sort of Aztec camera-ified, field session-ified. I don't know why.
They didn't really have micro daffodils when I was a kid. Or if they did, they kept them well hid.
Never mind the daffodils. I've been having a think. You know, we were talking about the best ofs on the way down.
Oh, yeah.
I've got another one. Best film performance.
What's yours?
It's got to be David Thewlis in My Please Naked.
Ah, that's a brilliant one, that is. The descending pachyderm formation. What a fantastic portrayal of a cynical monk. No, you're right.
What's yours then?
James Cagney, White Heat, 1947. It's like a red-hot buzzsaw through my head. It's not as good as my Ewan McGregor, but it'll do. Do you know, as it turns out, I don't feel like Frederick Lord Leighton or Lawrence Alma Tadema. I feel like Cary Grant in Charade, which is not a bad way to feel. And that's because the whole thing is giving me a sense of not just being in a British-themed model village, but a European one. It's like a conglomerate of everywhere I've ever had a nice time. I'm getting little subliminal flashes of Montmartre, Shrewsbury, York, Budapest, the left bank. It's not an unpleasant sensation. Something about those wrought iron bandstands of that period, they're like, I don't know, they're like the glue that sticks it all together for me. You know, like psychedelia, Edwardian England, David Bowie, my early childhood, Trumpton and Camberwick Green and Chigley.
Never mind that. What's the best joke you've heard in the last 10 days?
Last 10 days. That Emo Phillips one. I like to go to the park to play chess with old men, but it's sometimes difficult finding 32 of them. What about you?
Well, did you hear about the tragic story of the dog's home being burgled?
No.
Yeah, and the culprits got away with 10 dogs altogether. Go on. The police haven't caught them yet, but they've got plenty of leads.
No.
You're a bit younger than me, aren't you, Harris?
Yeah, 4 years, 11 months and 5 days.
Okay, but the fact that you are a few years younger than me, I think explains perhaps your penchant for perhaps fluffier and perhaps more action-packed cinema. You know what I mean? I'm just more for the dark and unresolved end of the 60s, the broken dreams and the nihilism of the 70s, whereas you like a bit of feel-good, don't you? A bit of action, and I think that probably explains our differing feelings on Alien and its sequel. But to be fair though, I do like James Cameron's approach to creating that sequel. I like the fact that he did so by ignoring the original altogether and just creating something entirely different. So I'd like to take the same approach to Chester Cathedral, synonymous with the town though it may be. I think I'm going to ignore it, and it's going to become like Fred Scuttle in the Benny Hill show, glimpsed behind and in the background, in favour of the original cathedral, before Henry VIII said different, St John the Baptist, which in terms of atmosphere, power and architectural detail is an absolute whopper. St John the Baptist, I presume, but it puts me in mind of Bourneton near Cirencester in the Cotswolds, and similar fragments of paint, medieval paint, clinging to the walls there, depicting St Christopher carrying Christ across the ford. Makes me feel like I'm hurtling headlong towards the middle of England. Okay, maybe Fred Scuttle was a bit mean. More like a huge and ghostly galleon drifting across the city, paused for a moment. One thing that the visual media fails to convey, however, is the overpowering smell of bacon. Maybe one day, eh? The last time I was in an amphitheatre, I was engaged in mortal combat with a huge Assyrian with a full-faced beard and body armour. He delved his great hand into my thigh, ripped it open, pulled out the bone, snapped it, threw it away, and I had to have it replaced with a shaft of steel and a suction cup of my own devising.
Was that not the operation you had on the NHS last December?
Yeah, but it sounds better, doesn't it?
You know these gladiatorial contests you used to take part in?
Yeah.
Is that what you used to wear?
Yeah. Are you not entertained? Strange how the inclusion of that vital third element, the cypress-shaped trees, makes it immediately synonymous with the ancient world, along with the mosaics and broken columns. Makes me think of the blonde colonnades in Sylvia Plath's Arrival of the Bebox, along with Europe After the Rain by John Fox, and the episode of The Sopranos where they go back to the old country. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most surprising concrete animal of feline origin that I've seen all year. Most of the time in life, you can't quite pinpoint when something first slid into your consciousness, can you? But with regard to Chester, I can. I was standing on the platform of the Liverpool Underground on my way to Port Sunlight back in that seminal year of 1989. And I saw a little poster of the Eastgate Clock with the word Chester underneath it. And I realised straight away that I knew nothing about the place, didn't know where it was or what was there. But I didn't have to wait long. A few weeks later, I was at a late night party in the centre of Liverpool when a friend of mine stole the ironing board. I knew this because he ran past me in the hallway and said, "I've stolen the ironing board." I ran past him down the streets, lost him, tried to find him again, returned to my flat. He came in through the window with the ironing board a couple of hours later. We didn't sleep that night, but decided we had to flee the city. And this is where we fled to. I arrived as if in a dream. It seemed to my West Midlands eyes like Worcester from an alternate universe. But this is the thing that shines in my memory, the Eastgate Clock. It could so easily not have been. They were considering a statue of Queen Victoria to commemorate the Jubilee. But thank God they settled on this. If the test of a structure is taking it away and seeing if the town remains the same, then this passes that, with colours as flying as any you can imagine. Because it's not only synonymous with Chester, it is Chester in the mind of the public. A little sight bite, beautiful and glittering. I discovered later that day that there are parts of the wall here in Chester where it's still officially legal to kill a Welshman. But back then, I only knew one, and I liked him, so I didn't. I don't know if it's the time of year, you know, the blossom time, or the juxtaposition of ancient and modern, you know, the modern high-rise flats and the cathedral precinct. But I don't know, I feel Japanese today, you know, like the Bishonen, the youthful hero doomed to fall like blossom.
Never mind all that. What is your favourite guilty pleasure action movie of all time?
Rocky IV, Dolph Lundgren's hair, There's No Easy Way Out, montage after montage, running into each other's arms on the beach. If he dies, he dies. I want to win for me.
Yasipia. Yasipia.
What's yours?
Mine would
Yes,
have
yeah.
to be the classic Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Can you help me? I need to find a Turbo McDoll.
It's good, but it's not Kindergarten Cop.
And if I can change, and you can change, then maybe we can all change. Take her home, Charlie. I want to go home, Charlie. I can't find your legs. I can't find your legs.
Which show was it where it used to go size of an elephant?
Oh, that was the cartoon Arabian Nights.
Very impressive, a bit before your time, that. Have you ever seen any of Rembrandt's drawings of elephants? They're astonishing, the way that he struggles with line and texture to capture the quintessence of the exotic animal that's before him.
I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. What is your greatest music venue?
What's yours?
It would have to be the minuscule 12 bar on Denmark Street, London.
Old JB's behind Pathfinder in Dudley for me. I've seen some amazing bands there. And Fields of the Nephilim. Lots of traditions and historic monuments end up being disappointingly young when you find out about them. Not so the Rose in Chester, a uniquely thrilling galleried walkway of shops. It's medieval in plan and Jacobean in execution. It's lovely to hear and see. A man dressed like an off-duty PE teacher, singing suave French love songs, isn't it? The Sacha Distel of the staff room. Standing in front of this fabric gives me the fleeting impression that I haven't moved since the day I was born, and that I've been fed and clothed and stood upright for 50 years of fleeting time-lapse imagery.